The book is really about personal renaissance, and there are three pillars. The first pillar is declare independence from the past. The second, know who you are and what you want. And the third is then orchestrate who you are, express yourself. So it's simple enough. Now, the past is never really past. Even a clean slate has the imprint of past writings, what we call karma sometimes. So that carries through. Even when you get into the car, we often press that button, trip odometer button, and you get all zeros clear. But the long-term meter still runs. So you can clear some things through what I call the 3 R's. Remove, reverse, renew. Remove is when a negative thought comes, well, we can walk away from it mentally. I mean, it doesn't have to be physically, but you can also physically walk away from it. The second is reverse. That is that what if the opposite were true? A friend of mine who is an Australian, knows him, we used to call him Count Michael, had a simple formula. He called it CVS to BVS, current view of the situation to a better view of the situation. The third is the renew. Now, I have eaten here several times, and I think many of you also. But today, it's different. I'm here for the first time. The food is different. You are different. I am different. So, in the sense that we cannot step into the same river twice, we are always changing. But the only difference is that we are not aware of that. Our consciousness, when we are conscious of that change, that's what makes the difference. The second part of it is how do you find yourself, discover yourself and what you want. Have you ever looked deep into your eyes in a mirror and found someone or something that has always been there, constant behind the ever-changing facade? That's something in Hindu scriptures, the ancient scriptures, that something is called Paramatman, or universal self. Know thyself, of course, we know from Oracle, know thyself. Well, that's a self. Then what do you want to be? What do you really want? We think we know what we want, right? But some years ago, someone asked me, do you offer seminars? And they said, what do you want? And she said, well, that's precisely, I don't know what I want. I want to know what I want. So that's the third part, orchestration of who you are, expressing who you are. And that is on the other side of this card. Am I being myself, doing the right thing and doing it right? Does it feel right? So these cards, of course, is something, a daily reminder at the end of the day or beginning of the day. You could look at that. And the third one is purpose. Am I fulfilling my purpose? Am I closer to my goals? Thankful. It's always good to have a feeling of gratitude, so thankful for people and gifts and occasions like these. So, any questions or comments? My writing career began just maybe about 87 or so. That's one milestone. The second milestone is 97, when I went to Rishikesh, which Jyotima knows about. That's at the foothills of the Himalayas. And, had a chance to talk to the rishis and yogis. One thing I found out, I was walking up the Ganges River, the banks of the Ganges River, and in search of, I just took a taxi. They dropped me off and just went away, the taxi from Delhi to Rishikesh. I knew that there were yogis who sit at the banks of the Ganges River. And so I took a chance. I said, well, this is the way I feel. I am ready to receive the wisdom of these mountains, as Liz said. But the thing, of course, the most important thing here is that we had to be ready for something. most of the temples, and I think even churches and things like that, are built in remote places on the mountains and so on, to keep out people who are not quite serious, not quite ready. So I was ready, so I went up, and there was one particular yogi. I use yogi, guru, and muni more or less equivalently. There are slight differences. Rishi. But anyway, I was drawn to one who was sitting and just gazing at the river, the Ganges River. And so I approached him silently and said, Namaste. He waited for a few minutes and then he looked at me and motioned me to sit at a rock nearby, for just a rock he was sitting on. So I sat there and he started talking and answering many of the questions before I even asked them. After he spoke for a few minutes, he then stopped. I took that as a signal that the interview was over. And then I committed a faux pas. I asked him his name because I wanted to recognize him in the book. And he smiled and said, he forgave my faux pas and said, well, we rishis don't have any possessions, not even names. So then I resumed my pilgrimage up the Ganges River toward the source, the Himalayas. And I wondered, what has he got that I don't, with all my education, degrees, and so on? Then it dawned on me, it's not what he got that made the difference, it's what he doesn't have. No possessions, no attachments, no limits.
সকল জীবন